Hi, my name is Tara Kachaturoff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest, Rosie Battista. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tara. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm really excited to have you on this program, and so much so we're going to actually do two interviews because there's so much to cover. But today we're going to talk about you and the business that you have. But before we jump into the special kind of business that you run, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
So I would say that I'm always consider myself like a super creative. Like my mom tells me I would be just drawing murals on walls when I was little, and she has actually saved some of my drawings. I was making calendars and all kinds of things. So all I ever wanted to do is just make pretty things. So that kind of just brings me to I had multiple businesses and making from making clothing and children's clothing and hats and painted t-shirts and just so many different kinds of things that led me to where I am today in helping, entrepreneurs with their creativity and putting their gift into the world.
And specifically, what do you do with these entrepreneurs? What do you help them do?
So I actually help them to make a card deck. And I don't even really like to say the word card deck, but you can picture that in your head what it is. But what it really is, or what it really acts like, is a transformational teaching tool. It takes the like your body of work, and it puts it in a form where clients can use it to study from and learn.
And it is because of this. I met you years ago,
Yeah,
6, 7 years ago, and this
yeah.
whole concept, I guess it was probably 7 years ago, this whole concept about creating a card deck was absolutely fascinating to me. And you went on to create an entire business around this. So can you
Yeah,
kind of break down what are the parts of this business so people understand what you went through as an
yeah,
entrepreneur to create this?
yeah. So how the card deck whole concept came up for me was I had a book, I had a cookbook, I had a journal. And so I was like forming this system for people. This is when I was teaching health and wellness to women over 40. And they would say things to me like, I wish you were on my shoulder and telling me the next step to do. So this idea of making something where they can just do one thing every day and literally almost have me like talking to them, like the next step for the next day. And I made my first card deck. This was back in, it was like 17 years ago now. So then I made another one, and then people started to see it and say, "Can you make one for me?" And I think when you were one of the first people in my course
I
because
was in the
what I
first
did,
class, I think.
yeah.
I think.
So I took that from making it for making for one or two people to teaching multiple people, which I didn't really know if that would be possible or not, but it really was, and it's been amazing. So now I have the course where people come and follow with guidance. There's Q&A, so they get me to be able to answer questions, to a full-on done-for-you experience that I have now, where I help anybody with something worth teaching, a body of work, or it could be an author, it could have a course, or whatever body of work that you want people to learn. I just help you curate your content, create beautiful design, and really help you create a framework that teaches you whatever it is that you're teaching.
Yeah, and what I love about what you do is that it works for everybody. There is not any product or service this does not work for.
Well,
It
we're
is
not
a
supposed to
universal
say
gift.
we're not supposed to say it's for everyone, right? But
Yeah.
if you're out there as a coach, a thought leader, you are really well any kind of business where you're trying to teach something that you want in clients' hands that's easy, that's fun, that's like again the one step at a time thing, because in our time period right now everyone's pretty overwhelmed because we're not lacking for information. It's thrown at us all the time whether we want it or not, and we're in algorithms and stuff is just like slamming us in the face. So this kind of removes us a little bit from that and gives us like a step-by-step action journey that we can do that really gives your clients like a win every single time, because everyone has a minute to read a card.
They do.
So
And it brings in so much more. And I know we'll talk about more the digital end of things, but it's something physical somebody has. And like you said, it's like it's you or it's that person holding it in their hand. It's
yeah,
tactile, it's reading, it's looking at beautiful design of the card. It's
yeah,
such a full sensory experience.
yeah. And I like to think of like if your client is like here right now and they want or need to be here. So what the card deck does is fills in the middle with like this step by step plan so that they actually are moving along, consistently and systematically to get to the place where they want to be. So it's not like, oh my God, I forgot where I put it. I can't remember where like the login is or something like that. They literally have this thing in their hand. They just have to say, okay, let me do this one thing right now. And they've done something. They can check off a box. They feel accomplished. Whether it's like an inspiration or a prompt or something they had to think about or an action they had to do or something they had to study or learn or reflect upon, it's there for them.
And I think people really treasure card decks. Like mine are all up there in a box. I can see them from here. It's a see-through
Yeah.
box. I keep all my card. They're like treasures to people.
Yeah.
They're
And
really important. They don't lose card decks.
right. Right.
They
And one of the things I've been seeing a lot is, there's either people like I just always assumed everyone knew what a card deck was. Like when I would say, oh yeah, I help people make card decks, and I would have some people say, well, who cares? Why would I care? Right. So I had to really start to be able to explain it to people that did not have that reference of ever really using one other than playing at their kitchen table. But the idea of like most people can relate to like, oh yeah, that's how I studied in school. I had flashcards, or that's how I learned the things that I anchored into my like system and I always remember. So it's that same kind of thing. It's that pattern recognition. It's like that. It's kind of random learning. So there's not really a specific order, but all the stuff is coming to you when you kind of need it. It feels like to most people. And I realize also with working with clients that they start to like uncover what they're actually like how valuable what they're teaching actually is because it puts it in order for them. So
yeah.
they see, oh, if I have to teach it this way, and yes, it makes sense to do this. Yes, it makes sense to have this in categories or different kinds of suits and reflected by color or genre or whatever. And so they start to see, oh my God, now I see how this can be a book. Now I see how this can be a bigger course. Now I see how this can be like the solution that people are looking for. So
And
it's
now I can see how we can take this and give it to my executive coaching clients as something extra special. This
yeah,
is such a special, it's the cherry on the top of the whatever.
yeah,
Cherry on
right. So to that point too, like people will say, like, what do you use it for gifts or for, it could be like, a limited edition, or it could be like, inside of your course. I also say like, it's like it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Or it's the appetizer, the main course, and the dessert. Let's say that, because um, maybe people aren't ready to fully go in and work with you, but you can say, okay, well, take the cards and start to play with them. And then they start to get familiar with your work and they're like, oh, I wonder what more she has. Or they're inside your program, like, oh my God, how am I going to like, I can't like see this all together. So maybe I use the cards as my study tool at that point. And then maybe they're done with your program and they're like, the cards then just become maintenance to keep front and center and, anchoring and all of the things all of the
There's so
time.
many things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to take a look at some of these decks so people
Yeah.
can really anchor on what you're talking about. And you actually even have a card deck that is like all the ways you can use a card deck, right? I remember that.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's a
have a
card
card
deck for
deck.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of card decks now, but
Yep.
so, because I'm always just trying new things and then whatever's like, new and exciting, or like these things pop in your head, right? But this was 50 ways to use a card deck because I
Yeah.
wanted to explain to people how could you use it. I also created another deck where it's how to make a card deck, specifically, which we'll probably touch on lightly, but specifically the digital version of a card deck. And once I made the deck, I then created a course around the deck. So that's another thing, because it got clear in my mind, okay, here's a step by step. So people could follow that. But if they want to go deeper, I also had, a whole video program to go with it.
I
So
didn't actually know about that one, but that is
yeah,
really cool. I try to keep up
yeah,
on everything with you,
yeah,
but I know it's been like hundreds and hundreds of students over the years. So you have like lots of decks because they always send
yeah,
you a copy. Um,
right.
so why
Yes.
don't you hold up one of your first decks? We'll talk about a couple decks. I don't remember
Yeah,
how many you had.
I'm going to show you. This was actually my first deck, and really the reason why. So here's the three books. This was the guidebook, then the cookbook, then the journal,
Mhm.
and then this is where people were saying, well, what else you got for me, Rosie? And so that's when I did the card deck, and this became a whole kit. And so this is another thing that is starting to unravel for clients too, as they see, oh wow, I can actually add things to the deck that enhance and make an experience.
Like
So
that
with this
organza
one,
bag that you just took them out of.
yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
so then everything could go in here, but in this deck, this deck there was a tattoo
Oh,
for
wow.
like kind of an affirmation. There is this opens up, it's an accountability chart, and then you put a sticker,
Oh, neat.
so that it gave people that, like, kind of like, okay, I win today, I win today, I win today, and they can see it, right? Because we like to, the thing is too, we forget that playing is like a way that we remember things, because whenever we're having fun, we remember much more than when we're not having fun. When you're like, oh my God, I have to read a textbook, or I have to like do these sheets, or I have to download another PDF or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, this is like a game. I can do that. Like, people love that. So, I'm going to pull one of the cards and show you kind of how you can use your deck to to make a product suite, right? So this card is throw a tea party. And I kind of love this because it's just so simple. And it's like, make yourself the guest of honor. Nothing makes you feel more like a lady than being invited to a tea party. So boil your tea, sit back, relax, read a book, light candles, play soft music, use loose tea, try different flavors, and make your own, special treat. And then there's a little bonus on the bottom, and it takes you to, if you want to make a treat, there's a recipe inside of my book and the page that you can go to. So I'm constantly using, like, this whole, like, all of my body of work to help the person to have an experience. But even just like this simple throw a tea party, you might be the kind of person that's like, oh my God, I didn't even get up to get myself something all day from this desk or something. But to, like, remember that, treating yourself like a queen, or, just making a cup of tea, like, is that special ritual. And so
Yeah.
if someone did this like every day, they're adding in that little bit of time for themselves. So what seems to be just like a simple thing is never just the one simple thing on the card. It's a powerful, a powerful suggestion or an
It's what you
invitation.
said, that transformation. You're helping the
A
people
transformation.
transform in
Yeah.
increments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we, people sometimes think, oh, transformation, that's like a big, huge thing. Yes, at the final end result, or over time, you're like, wow, I'm different. Like, I didn't think I did anything like big, like a bomb of a transformation, but it is. It just, everything happens just, like the one bite at a time, right? So that's really what your cards are. They're one golden nugget. And I just said this to a client the other day, as she was kind of, she's coming up with her content. I'm like, okay, the thing you want to think about is that if you only could give a person one card out of your deck, that it would be so powerful that that would bring a change to them.
Mm.
And so she was, oh,
Well
okay,
said.
I get it now. I'm not just going to put I don't do cards that just have one silly little quote on them. I don't say silly little quote, but like, that's not the intention, because it's like you want to like suggest that invitation of, like, here's something different you could do. Here's a shift, a perspective, an action that you could take.
And speaking of shifts, you made a card deck for somebody really famous. famous for all of us that are in the like self-development
Yeah,
world, personal development. His name is Dean Graziosi, and he's a business partner, right, of Tony
of
Robbins.
Tony Robbins, right?
Why don't you show us that deck, and
Yeah,
why don't you give us a little history on that one?
yeah. So his deck is 40 cards for, and Dean talks about impact, influence, and income. And he has this whole, all through anything he ever talks about, he has this golden thread that talks about sales as service, because it's one of the things that many people fear is getting on a sales call. Like they'll make stuff and then they're like, they have all this stuff and they're afraid to share it with people. So this deck was created while I was, I curated his content for him while he was talking because, and teaching in one of his like 3-day long seminars. So I would just take notes as like the things that came out of his mouth really organically, so that they were his way of talking a person through how valuable it is to remember that, like what you're going to say to yourself before, to get yourself psyched up to be able to show up really well. And so I'll just pull one of these cards and like, oh, okay.
And on your site, you actually show him unboxing them
I
in front
do.
of a
I
large
do.
group
Yeah.
of
And he was
people.
just really so thrilled. And it's funny because, when he went through the cards and everything, he made zero changes to anything that was here. So I really was able to capture the essence of him. And so now is the time for me to make the difference. And so, he says, if not now, when? If not you, who? Right. So it just reminds you that, like, if before you're going to get on a sales call, you can pull any one of these cards and say, okay, now is the time for me to make a difference. Or I'm the bridge. I take people from where they are to where they want to be. And so just remembering all of this, because like we forget, we're like, oh my God, I got to do that sales call. What am I going to say? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. What if I'm not, that whole pattern of like, what if I'm not good enough? What if they don't say no? What if I'm asking too much? What if, so it kind of brings you back to just anchoring in like your power. And it really, really, like, it really, really works. And, people that, Dean would give these out at events to his, mastermind students and things like that. And people would say, oh my God, I keep these on my desk and I use them and I pull them all the time.
Exactly.
So that's what we all want. We want to say, oh my God, I'm on my client's desk and they use it and they hear me, they hear my voice all the time.
And we'll show like one last deck and then we'll
Yeah.
move on with some other questions. What's another
Yeah.
deck that you have to show?
Yeah. What did I just do with it? Oh, here.
You have a lot of decks sitting
Yeah.
there.
So this one is one that I created for one of my Done For You clients. And
Means that you're actually doing all the artwork and all the
artwork, working with her to really the strategy of what she wanted to do with this deck. And this deck is so super powerful.
And what's the name of the deck again?
It's called Birth the Book, which is the name of her business. But the beautiful part is that she takes you through her whole process. She does Done For You, like service for people for their book writing. They come to her kind of with their idea and she takes it all the way through the publishing. Oh, so wow. This card deck then does the same thing for people. So each different, there's 3 different sections and you go through each one. And if you did each one of these, you actually could come out the other end, like having a really good manuscript. So I just really, I love it because it's such delicious content on here of what to do. And it's
so you interview these people on the Done For You. You're doing all the artwork and design. Everything. Obviously with their input, but they're putting together some of the stuff. You're editing it appropriately and fitting it, because you can't just take somebody's body of work and shove it into a card deck. It doesn't work that way. So it takes a lot of finessing on your end.
It's very much of a dance, because there's the different parts of it where there's many iterations of like, okay, let me craft the design while they're going to give me some of like their content or like and their book manuscript and any kind of videos. Like for her, I watched her talking a lot on video. So I was able to kind of like say, okay, here's the arc of what we'll do. And then, they can, help them to fill in the content. But then we marry the graphics with the content to say, okay, here's how many, here's what we want to say, here's how much space we have to say it, because that's the
Yeah.
thing with cards. You have limited real estate. So this becomes hard for people because they have a lot to say.
Yeah.
And but so how do you say the most important stuff in the least amount of words, still get the point across? So that's where like is the fun part.
Yeah, and the done for you is great for people who are like they don't want to get involved in all that kind of detail. They just
Yeah.
want to be more the consultant to you and then you help them.
Yes.
And this is great for people who just want it like kind of, I mean, it is done for you, but it's kind of you have to work with them. It's not like they
Yeah,
just file,
right. And so
do
I
their body of work. But
exactly, and I call it an experience too because I can tell from talking to a client how much there's some that are like the woman I had her session with yesterday. She's very creative, and she likes to have a lot more say in. So then I just pull up. We kind of create together. Okay, we'll move this here, move this here. How do you like this? How do you like that? So my whole goal is, and I tell them right from the beginning is, I don't stop with them until they say, "Oh my God, I
right,
love it."
right.
And so we keep going until I know exactly when I get that I know, okay, we're here.
And they don't realize like you bring a lot of experience. I mean, over 20 years, two
Yes,
decades of experience doing design work. So like they
right,
don't realize like the average person doing their own deck, it's
right.
very different than you helping them because you know all the
Yes,
pitfalls and all the
exactly. And I
aesthetics
know
of
what
it.
colors are going to like
Yeah,
really
of
show up. And
course.
also, people tend, like, left to our own devices, we tend to mm, to kind of pull back, right? So um I was on a call and this one's like, let's like mute that. And so did it. And then I'm like, no, we're not doing that because look at your strong personality, your vibrant, your vibrant, like everything about you right now, just showing up on camera. Your cards need to be a reflection of that. We're not gonna, like, I'm not gonna allow my clients to play like, let me just keep it small. You know, I'm like, you're creating a product that's going to live out there that people are going to be like excited to, like, they want your personality in here. Like they're buying that. They're not just buying like, oh, here's just a black and white card. No, it's got to have like your feeling in it. So none of the cards that I make look like me. They look like
The
they are,
person.
and there's different ways that I do it to really dig out of a person, like, what's your style?
Yep.
And I also could tell by people's backgrounds, how they dress, how they show up to a call. You just kind of could get, after over time, I'm able to kind of be really, really good at that. So um, the cards become, they're really excited about it, and they feel like it's their creation. I mean, it is.
Right.
I
Exactly.
just pulled it together for them, but it's theirs. So
And
that's
and being that this is like a creative business, when we look back at like, just like any business, you've had challenges of building your business. What is like one of the biggest challenges you've had, just real quick, of building a business like this? What has it been? Has it been getting the word out? What is it dealing with technology, high
yeah.
cost of paper?
It's
What has it been?
it's trying to work on the client projects and then also on my business. So, like, okay, I need to, I want to tell more people about me. I want to get on more calls with people, but yet I have all this design work and this artwork to do. So there's that, and there's so much, time of the day, right? So I think that's probably what a lot of people struggle with, is like, how do you work in the business and on the business? And you have to kind of automate certain things. Uh, you know, and I'm noticing now, okay, here's where I can have people helping me in the parts that, like, some of the just the standard parts of, like, okay, send out these emails, follow up on this person, where
Mhm.
I don't have to do like the follow up. But I'm also like really tight with people. Like, I don't get off a call with them without booking the next.
Right.
Like, I kind of make it, okay,
Organized.
simple. You're going to
Yep.
get this back to me here, and here's where we're going to meet again. So I don't have to send email back and forth. When can we meet, like that? Right. So it's just kind of systematizing, which I find really, helps.
Absolutely. And when you look at like what you're most proud of the business that you've built over this past 6, 7 years, what are you most proud of if you look back and you could only pick one thing? What
What am
what
I
are you
most
proud
proud? I think it's, no, I actually, no, not I think. it's that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I actually said this to my boyfriend the other day. I said, I can't believe I'm just doing what I said I always wanted to do. I'm actually, like I said, I want to just sit around and design cards, and that's what I'm doing. So it's like, sometimes I have to pinch myself. I'm like, oh, I'm just like designing cards all day. And it's so
Yeah,
great,
doing what you love,
Yeah. So
what
it's
you're really good
really,
at. And
yeah,
I mean, I've been on these things called card deck parties with you for years. And when people debut their card decks and you just the joy that you see, and we're all like, oh my gosh, we're
yeah.
always like,
I mean,
every card party I've been to has been like amazing. Like the creativity out there. I mean, this
yeah,
is people putting themselves out there in the world in such a beautiful
yeah,
way, and you're a part of
yeah.
that. That
Well,
is
I mean, thank you
cool.
for saying that, because that is something I really love, that part of it too.
Me
And
too.
because it's a lot of work, like collecting all this stuff and putting it together. But every time I do one, I'm like, oh my God, because seeing them being so proud to share it. And for some of them, it's like the first time they might be on camera, and not really, they get to, practice what they're saying and get a response from people about their deck. And it's a really beautiful thing to see, like that they have this product now that's going to make a big difference for this is the thing, not just for their clients, but like the huge difference it makes to the creator as
Oh,
well.
I know. I know.
Mhm.
It's such a I mean, I know and I will know even more
Right,
when I
exactly.
work on my own deck, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, watch people debut their art, which is them. I mean, and the creativity I've seen over
yeah,
the years, oh my gosh, it's stunning. It's super you see something come an idea, because when I've been in the live classes, you see them come up with an idea, and then at the other end, it pops out and you see it
right,
for
right.
real. And they
It's
pick
really a
a
beautiful
card, and
thing.
it's just an
Yeah,
experience like no other. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I do want to ask you, this has just been an amazing time with you, talking about your business. I could talk a whole nother hour about it, but what's your advice to entrepreneurs? I mean, you create card decks for others, you show people how to do their own, you have card deck parties, you're making these for, people who are really well known. You're getting people's message out to the world, helping them do that and shepherding through the process. What is your advice to entrepreneurs? What would you say?
yeah. So I would say, you have a gift, and gifts are meant to be given. Gifts are meant to be shared. So your God-given gift needs to be in front of people. And making a card deck is a really awesome way to do that. And it is like the seed that keeps on growing, because from it grows many other things, including yourself, your business, and your client's experience. So it's not to hold back on what you can be doing, and get out there with it.
Well said. Thank you so much, Rosie Battista, for being a guest on today's program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.